Here, we develop shapers of the world, innovators, visionaries, and effective leaders. This is where we transform you. a leading university founded by a leader, established through the ideals of former President Jose P. Laurel, succeeded by the principles of Dr. Sotero H. Laurel, a university proud of its long and rich tradition of academic excellence.
Here in LPU, we don't only get a chance to learn by book. Through the interactive activities provided by the administration, we get to apply learning to real-life problems through research, internship, and cultural exchange programs.
I choose LPU because of the greatness of its facilities. We have actual hotels and as well as simulated hotels located in our own campus. We also have Culinary Institute where we could attain real-world skills.
We have advanced facilities such as mass communication studio, recording studio, and NAC laboratories. Most especially in my course, I really enjoyed it because we are learning while using modern technologies. We are learning using advanced facilities.
LPU カビテの整備はとても整っていて、スタッフの皆さんはとても親切です。
The activities that I enjoy most here in LPU is doing extension services, going to different communities and teaching kids or students, young students, the proper dental hygiene. And that made me realize that LPU doesn't only develop us academically, but it also teaches us to become good people as well.
In LPU prepare us mentally, emotionally, and physically for the career world. And also, I chose LPU because I was impressed by its performance in the national licensure exams.
Choose LPU.
Choose LPU.
Choose LPU!
Choose LPU. You will never go wrong.
LPU offers endless possibilities.
LPU is a fun place to stay.
We innovate, we envision, and we are born leaders.
Here in LPU.
Hello, we are LPU GTC. GTC stands for Guidance and Testing Center. Welcome to academic year 2020-2021. How's everything going? We're looking forward to getting to know you better this year. Meet Team GTC. Let's start with our guidance director, Ma'am Carol. Next up, our counseling team. Meet Miss Gerald, Sir Nino, Miss Kathy, and Miss Gladys. Last but not the least, we have the psychometrics team. Meet Sir Jay and Sir Tai. Team GTC will be with you this academic year. Now when it comes to our programs and services, we know you've got some questions, like how to talk to your counselor when you need help with your studies, or how to deal with personal, social, or career matters. With that, let's talk about the why of the LPU Manila Guidance and Testing Center. Why avail of our programs and services? This is the why coin. Let's look at both sides. On one side is the stress-distress disorder continuum. Many mental disorders come from the little unprocessed stresses that are aggravated and turn into distresses, which eventually become disorders. Dealing with full-blown mental disorders can be costly and may be a bit challenging to manage. These can affect the individual, the family, the community, and so on. The good news is, mental disorders can be prevented scientifically through evidence-based approach. Boring, we know, but the ways that stress can be managed can be fun too and are done in the most humane manner possible. Dealing with stress makes so much sense. Number 2, the stress-eustress growth continuum. This is the other side of the coin. Stress can be positive too and will lead to growth and development. These things talk about life skills that lead to our successes. Need some work on your study skills, decision-making or goal-setting skills? How about time management skills, or even emotional management skills? This is where the life coaching aspect of GTC comes in. For many of our students, faculty members, and even non-teaching personnel, this is exciting and is one good reason to avail of our programs and services. Now let's talk about the how. How can we achieve these goals for you? Well, we've prepared a 7-point program just for you. Point number 1, online scoring and interpretation of the MyLPU Leads. Remember this survey? The MyLPU Leads survey will help you assess your readiness as online learners. We will help you in your journey in this online landscape. Point number 2, online counseling. It all starts with the initial interview for new students and the routine interview for upperclassmen. These interviews will help you access your stress-distress disorder or your stress-eustress growth continuums. In other words, these interviews will help you answer 2 questions. Do I need emotional healing? Or do I need to develop a certain life skill to be successful? Pro tip, make it a habit to sign into Office 365. Our online counseling and interviews will be done in Microsoft Teams, one of the many apps offered by Office 365. If you need help signing in, you may contact our Information and Communications Technology Department or the ICT. Point number 3, GTC modules. Get on the road with us towards self-awareness and emotional healing. Develop your life skills with us as we keep in touch with you via email. We'll be sending you some fun stuff to look into, at your own pace, so no pressure. Point number 4, sessions for support groups. Social support is an instrumental element to emotional resilience, also called caring groups, like groups, among others. Support groups are powerful avenues for us to bond and connect. Group process has been used many times in treating behavioral and emotional concerns. Point number 5, the 2020 GTC Mental Health Month celebration. Since 2017, the GTC has led the campus-wide celebration of the Mental Health Month. in line with the World Mental Health Day on October 10th, as declared by the World Health Organization. On its fourth year, we'll be going fully virtual for the very first time. We have activities and other online content in store for you. As for this year's theme and other details about this month-long event, we'll be keeping you posted on our official social media accounts, so stay tuned. Point number 6, the 21-day self-paced wellness. We will be putting up small Facebook groups where we'll be posting tasks, meditation-related content, as well as short videos every day to help you learn more about yourself, your emotional journey, as well as your life skills progress. And finally, point number 7, peers. The peer facilitation program is the extension arm of the GTC. This year, we're proud to present the all-new LPU Peer Facilitators Organization. Get to know the officers. For more on the LPU Peer Facilitators Organization, check out their official Facebook page. Once again, we are Team GTC for the academic year 2020-2021. Let's be in sync. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram to get real-time updates. And remember, we GTC.
We are broadcasting live in the historic walled city of Intramuros, Manila, and we welcome you to Lyceum of the Philippines University, the only university in the Philippines founded by a former president, Dr. Jose P. Laurel. We are thrilled to have you on our Let's Talk LPU Educates Through Series of Talks webinar series. Today's webinar is a very relevant topic that all of us in the education sector are challenged at this time of global pandemic. With that, we bring you today's session on symptoms and solutions for stress in online schools. I am JR, your host. Let's talk and enjoy the company of each other until 12 noon. Before we start with the program proper, we would like to remind everyone to make sure that your Zoom name reflects your actual full name for proper identification and basis for the certificate. Kindly use the Q&A option in the Zoom application to raise questions or messages. You may send your questions during the course of the discussion. And lastly, stay in a quiet environment and check your internet connectivity. In compliance with the Data Privacy Act of 2012, please be informed that this session is being recorded, and by organizing this webinar, we recognize our responsibilities to respect and protect the data we collect, use, organize, record, and update. Rest assured that we have instituted appropriate organizational, technical, and physical security measures to ensure your protection. And the most important thing, let's talk and enjoy the program. Let us grace this program with the blessing of the Almighty. To lead us into prayer, please welcome from LPU Manila Guidance and Testing Center, Mr. Robert Tyron Narito.
Let us put ourselves in the holy presence of God. Loving Father, we praise and glorify your name. We thank you for all the blessings you bestowed upon us and to our loved ones. We offer you our webinar today. Make it fruitful and meaningful. We also pray for all schools, Lord. Prosper us despite challenges brought by crisis and disasters. May we continue the mission you assigned to us, and may we depend on your wisdom and unending love, remembering that you are our King and our Savior. We also pray for healing in body and spirit for those who are sick and comfort to those who are caring for them. Bring restoration and protection to our country and the whole world. We ask all these in Jesus' name. Amen.
Be proud and give honor to our identity as Filipino. Please stand and let us sing the Philippine National Anthem.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang magiliw, telas ng sinangalan, alam ng puso, sa titik mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tuyag ka ng magiting, sa manlulupin, di ka pasisingil, sa nagatak tutok sa simoy at sa langit mong bangaw, ay hinatang tula, kawin sa pagkayang minamahal, ang isang ng matawad mo'y tagumpay na nagtitindig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pang ay di magtitindig. Luman ang araw ng walang pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Ang inigaya na pagkay mga amin, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Good morning, dear administrators, principals, guidance counselors, teachers, students, parents, and guests. Welcome again to the first Let's Talk webinar series entitled Symptoms and Solutions for Stress in Online Schools. We would like once again to remind everyone to use the Q&A option in the Zoom application. To raise your questions or messages, you can see that on the bottom part of the screen, or you may comment your questions or any reactions through our live streaming. You may also send your questions, or you may send your questions during the course of the discussion. And I also said that we are now live on our social media pages. So at this point, we would like to welcome everyone joining us through the Facebook Live via Lyceum of the Philippines University Facebook page. Please like, share, and start a watch party at this moment. Together, let's start the conversation and let's talk. Kindly use our hashtag. Hashtags take the lead. Hashtag choose LPU. Hashtag LPU Manila and hashtag let's talk. Now, to deliver words of welcome and to introduce our international speaker at this point, may I call on the Director of LPU Manila Guidance and Testing Center, Director Caroline Kiba. Good morning, Director Carol. Welcome to the program.
Hello, good morning, JR. Do you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Loud and clear.
Okay, I'll start. Hello, everyone. I would like to welcome you to Lyceum of the Philippines University, Manila, for today's webinar entitled Symptoms and Solutions for Stress in Online Classes, which I know is very timely and we can all relate to this topic. This will be a little different welcome remarks because I want to show you as well as to report to a very good friend, Dr. Sachin Jain, our speaker, what LPU and APECA had been doing here in the Philippines to respond to the mental health needs we have been experiencing, especially at this time of pandemic. JR, can I have the slide, please? Yeah, I would like to start by showing you a photo of Dr. Sachin Jain when he was here in the Philippines in 2016 to give a plenary talk and workshop during the Pacers Convention. That was the time he thought that of maybe the Philippines needs mental health facilitation. MHF, next slide please, aims to lessen the global crisis on mental health by capacitating the public, those who do not have background in psychology and or counseling, by training them with basic helping skills to support people with mental stress. Then Dr. Sachin introduced me to Dr. Wendy Swager. Next, please. In 2017, Dr. Wendy Swager from the National Board for Certified Counselors and BCC had an ocular visit here in the Philippines. Next, please. Then in 2018, Dr. Scott Hinkle and Dr. Stephen Sharp conducted the first MHF training here in LPU Manila. In 2019, next please, we had a MOA signing with LPU Manila with our president, Attorney Roberto P. Laurel, and then in 2000 with NBCC and APECA Philippines regarding MHF. In that year also, we had the first MHF training the trainers. As of this time, next please, we have 3 MHF master trainers, 27 MHF trainers, and 154 mental health facilitators. These are some pictures of the conducted MHF trainings. Next please. These are some pictures here. LPU peer facilitator. Next, please. Here is for parish volunteers in San Pablo Apostol. Next is Mercy Church volunteers in August. Next, please. Here is a PLM. It's a state university student leaders. Next is for LPU employees and in touch in last month. Next, please. So now I'll introduce, these become possible because of your support uh, and help, Dr. Sachin. We are very grateful to you. Thank you very much. Now I will introduce our guest speaker for today's webinar. Dr. Sachin Jain is the director and core faculty for the Master of Science in Clinical Mental Health program at the University of Providence. He completed his master's in clinical psychology in India and PhD in counselor education and supervision from the University of Wyoming. Next, please. He is a certified counselor, K-12 mathematics and physics teacher. He has published 2 books, 35 articles in peer-reviewed journals, and numerous presentations and book chapters. Some of the awards he received include the Outstanding Dissertation in Counseling from the American Educational Research Association, Outstanding Contribution to Scholarship awarded by the University of Idaho, Advocacy Award from the Association for Multicultural Counseling and Development. Next, please. In the past, he served as the president of Indian Association of Mental Health Counselors, chair of the American Counseling Association's International Committee, and member of CACREP's International Steering Committee, IRCEP. Before joining the University of Providence, he taught in counselor education programs at the Auckland University, University of Texas Pan American, University of Idaho, and served in the Michigan Army National Guard. He has received 35 grants, including from Humanities Council at Michigan, Texas, Idaho, and Wyoming. With much honor and joy, join me in welcoming a very esteemed colleague in the counseling profession, Dr. Sachin Jain. Welcome, Dr. Sachin.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you for sharing the impact and the kind introduction. Good morning, everyone. Before I and the administration at the Lyceum Philippine University for extending this invitation. Stress and suicide is a major medical and social problem. Decades of suicide research have mostly focused on risk factors for suicidal behaviors while overlooking protective factors such as resilience that may help to address this important public health issue. I really like in the introduction for the counseling center at LPU, they really focused on the prevention instead of just solely on intervention. Prevention is an important component for addressing stress and suicidal tendencies. Resilience is the capacity and dynamic process of adaptively overcoming stress and adversity while maintaining normal psychological and physical functioning. Let's move to the next slide, please. Nature's biggest gift to us is our body. In this presentation, I'm going to share some research-based strategies I have found helpful in enhancing well-being in my life. I will start with some core practices, values, techniques that help strengthen resiliency, and we will end the workshop with a small activity. Please use this presentation as a case study. Hopefully, you will get ideas and examples to enhance your well-being by strengthening resiliency, which is particularly important in this context of online learning where social integration have lessened and in fact our social connections are all facilitated in an online environment. So hopefully you find some of these practices which can be easily implemented in our current pandemic, helpful in relieving some stress and strengthening resilience. Let's move to the next slide, please. Life is full of challenges, and until we are alive, life is going to keep giving us one challenge after another challenge. It's really important how we respond to them. That makes a big difference in using those challenging situations as a gift versus as a pain. Just like when moving to advanced levels while playing video games, our skills improve. Similarly, life's challenges present us an opportunity to improve our skills in life. So whenever life presents you a new challenge, think of it like you have just been upgraded to the next level. Just like in the video game, when we move from one level to another level, it is significantly harder. The challenges are a little more rigorous, but we overcome by using some of the practices which we found helpful in the level one. So, so that's where we are going to focus on when life presents challenges, how resiliency can help us to overcome those challenges without increasing our stress to a degree where it can harm us psychologically or physically. Let's move to the next slide, please. Research has shown 5 different components to strengthen our resiliency. I try to engage in activities on all the components on a daily basis. So for example, on the physical component, I engage in workout. Again, workout have to be age relevant. The key in workout, running or Tabata, which is a high intensity workout, is your heartbeat should increase and then you should be able to relax your heartbeat. And that's where just solely walking may not be really helpful for young or middle-aged adults because while we are walking, even though it helps us to burn calories, but it doesn't really increases our heartbeat to a degree where we could get the maximum benefit of the physical workout. The next aspect of improving resiliency is the emotional and social aspects, which includes spending time with friends, spending time with your kids, checking in with colleagues, social clubs, city councils, volunteering with the city councils. And again, in this online era, it is done in a very different format. And sometimes when we are living alone in a big city and our family is in a different city, we could still interact with them online. And if online interaction is not possible, sometimes I have encouraged individuals just to read a novel and reflect on the characters of the novel, what sort of emotional states they were going through in the novel. Or you can maintain a diary where you can reflect on your own emotions on a daily basis. So just like blocking 15 minutes on a daily basis to reflect on your emotional and the social states. Now, for the physical workout, research have shown 45 minutes is the optimal workout. So to get the maximum benefit, we should continue for 45 minutes. Anything higher than 45 minutes or lower than 45 minutes diminishes the impact of the physical component of resiliency. The third aspect, and which is a really important aspect of resilience, is the spiritual component. To strengthen the spiritual component of resiliency, I engage in meditation, praying, yoga, fasting, reading scriptures, discussing existential issues with teenagers and mentors. So it's really important to interact cross-sectionally, not only just limiting your interaction with your own age group, but try to interact with who are younger than you and who are older than you, because that gives us a very different perspective than what our own age group peers can give us. The last aspect is the creativity. So as I shared earlier, like free writing can really help to address both emotional component and also the creative aspects. And learning a musical instrument could be another good way to enhance your creativity. Traveling, which certainly have impacted due to the current pandemic. The other good aspect, and one of the most easier aspects I've found to improve creativity, is downloading an app called Duolingo and to learn a language. And it's a completely free app, and just spend 15 to 30 minutes on a daily basis. That really helps us to boost our resiliency and also help us to learn some new skills. I strive for 1% daily improvement on all these 5 components. Even though 1% doesn't look really high in numbers, but doing it consistently, at the end of the year, I have already gained 350% improvement on these 5 different aspects to strengthen the resiliency. Let's move to the next slide. As Friedrich Nietzsche said, he who has a why to live can bear anyhow. It is very important to reflect on our core values which guide our life. These are the 5 core values in my life. In the next few slides, I will go over how these core values enhance well-being in my life. Let's move to the next slide. Can we go a little back? I think we missed one slide on lifestyle. Yes, thank you. Even though our brain prioritizes instant gratification over long-term gains, but training my brain for delayed gratification have helped me to secure resources for any emergencies. Evolutionary instant gratification makes sense, but not as a modern human being. Even though financial freedom is not my primary purpose to adopt such a minimalist lifestyle, but it has been a byproduct of such a lifestyle. Financial freedom also made it easier for me to implement other values in my life. Early in my life, I learned the benefits of concentrated effort. The Pareto principle holds that 80% of the results come from 20% effort. So 20% effort with 100% concentration have helped me to accomplish a lot by spending a limited time and energy on any task. I plan my work in 35-minute cycles using Pomodoro technique. The Pomodoro technique is a time management method developed by Mr. Cirillo in the late 1980s. Using this method, I break my workday into 25 to 35-minute chunks, separated by 5 minutes break. After about 4 Pomodoros, I take a longer break, about 15 to 20 minutes. During the breaks, I mainly reflect on work I accomplished in the last 25 minutes, which takes usually few seconds. Then engage in some physical activities such as stretching, walking up and down the stairs, or a small meditation. And most importantly, drinking some water. So during each break, after 25 minutes, the 5 minute break, I really focus on keeping my body hydrated. Dehydration causes us to believe that we need to eat when we really need is water. So drinking water at regular intervals make us feel full for a longer amount of time and reduce our calorie intake apart from many other benefits of drinking water. Gradually, with this practice of training our mind to focus on one task, helps us improve our concentration and reduces attention residue. Attention residue is when unrelated thoughts intrude while performing a task. These lingering thoughts use up important cognitive processing power that can't be devoted to the task we are working on. In a 10-year study by McKinsey, top executives reported being 5 times more productive while working in the states of flow. I love being in the states of flow and completely immerse myself in the activities that help me to rejuvenate physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Magic only happens in Disney movies. If we are not taking intentional steps to stop automotive negative thoughts, it will be really tough to overcome those. So one of the strategies I have used to overcome automotive negative thoughts is a cold water shower. So any morning if I wake up with a negative thought, that rewards me with a 10-minute cold water shower. And just to remind you, in the state of Montana, the outside temperature sometimes goes, or at least in the winter, most of the days in the winter, it is below 30 degrees. So a cold water shower really helps as a negative reinforcement to decrease those automotive negative thoughts. If all one is doing is working without recovery, it will lead to depletion of innate genius. So recovery is an important part to keep our creativity alive. So as part of my recovery cycle, I use massages, acupuncture, personal counseling, meditation. These are all part of the deep recovery cycle that helps me to stay motivated and rejuvenated for the upcoming day. Let's move to the next slide on vitality. Vitality for me is the optimal environment for fostering inner mechanism of body, including gut health, cellular level, etc., resulting in high energy levels. If one is not taking care of themselves, they cannot take care of anybody else. Combination of good fitness and slots of time with concentrated efforts, as we covered earlier, the Pomodoro technique, helps me to slow down, to focus and enjoy the different aspects of my life. It also gives me enough time for continued professional and personal growth. Let's move to the next slide. I try to educate and empower individuals on how to advocate and reach out to different organizations while working in the area of the cause they are in need of help. Just like Jamie Escalante, the mathematics teacher in the movie Stand and Deliver, I try to empower the individuals to be strong advocates and mentor them so that they can have access to the higher education. I'm also obsessed about living a healthy and environmentally friendly lifestyle. If we love nature so much, how can we do anything to hurt it? Clean environment could be the best gift we can give to the future generation. Let's move to the next slide. Human and animal brains prefer immediate gratification. Such an action have helped humans to survive like any other animal, but operating with such a paradigm is not conducive in the modern society. As our brains are wired to to do that, we have to rewire our brain to teach it to follow perseverance. Most of the times, unhealthy or bad habits give immediate reward, and good habits are exactly the opposite. To create the balance, I see the long term cost of bad habits in the present moment. For example, long term cost of eating fast food every day. Such a visualization helped me to feel the pain. Similarly, I visualize the long term rewards of a good habit in the present moment. With every goal, I create a plan to break down it to the minor details, putting both short term and long term deadlines. After I created a tentative plan, I then refocus on the process, stay in the moment, and occasionally check on the goals to be sure I'm moving in the right direction. I believe that small daily improvements, when done consistently, over time leads to stunning results. As Steve Martin advised, be so good that they can't ignore you. I see this as a core part of my life. So, in the moments of stress, in the moments of distress, I don't give myself a choice to move back. So, as on the slide, the last point, irreversible conditions are conducive to synthesis of happiness. So, if we are committed to one goal or whatever aspect of our life, and make it irreversible, that gives us the courage to overcome the struggles which are part of those stressful situations. Let's move to the next slide. I define this as almost delusional in my life. Just like perseverance, I almost deny myself considering the alternate option of being a pessimist. Research have shown higher levels of optimism are generally associated with better immune functioning and protect health during times of heightened stress. The other side of being optimistic have been a little draining. As I shared earlier, sometimes when we are going through difficult stressors, a pessimist can choose to leave the situation, while such choices, I tend to deny those choices to myself even as an option. So I try to persist through the stress, but making sure that my resilience is high enough to help me balance the draining energy from those stressful situations. Let's move to the next slide. Can we go back one more slide? Thank you. Just like how we work out to strengthen our physical body, I engage in following practices for strengthening the willpower. Studies show that 3 days of brief cold exposure changes the level of cardiolipin in the mitochondrial cell membrane. Cardiolipin helps mitochondria to work better and allows it to make enough and better electricity. Brown fat, which is mainly in the upper spine, gets more stronger and bigger. It has more mitochondria, but the rest of the mitochondria throughout the body will also shift in their levels of cardiolipin. If we are getting more mitochondria for the brown fat and better mitochondria at everywhere else, and the mitochondria that cannot get enough heat will get replaced. And that is the process of autophagy, where brain and our body takes care of the cells and, so to say, kills them which are not functioning properly. Now, when we talk about deep breathing, research have shown at least 6 deep breaths are needed for state changes. We already discussed about cold water showers, and I gave you another example how cold, apart from the physiological benefits of cold water shower, it is also a really good way, like at least in my life, to stop automotive negative thoughts. Staying hydrated is really important, and as I shared earlier, using the Pomodoro technique where we can work in 25 minutes to 30-minute cycle, and then use a 5-minute break to do some physical activity and also drink enough water. So every 30 minutes we are drinking some water, and that keeps our body hydrated. Meditate and pray is another good way to strengthen the willpower. I practice it at least 50 minutes in the morning and 50 minutes in the evening before I go to sleep. Knowing your body. Now, we can Google, like on YouTube, you can find many sessions for body scan. So if you can just find out body scan and then practice a 25-minute or 30-minute session on a daily basis, that will give you a lot of control and awareness about the different sensations which are going across your body. And that can help a lot in reducing your stress. Now, I'm sorry I wasn't able to start the video earlier. I just turned it on. Sleeping and taking naps. Sleeping really helps to rejuvenate our body. Research have shown if some days we are not able to sleep our required amount of hours, the key is waking up enthusiastically. And at the end of the day, before you go to sleep, forgive everything what have happened in the past. That way, the next day can be a whole new beginning. It's not going to be easy to accomplish a lot without going through the severity of the stress on our bodies and on our psychological well-being. Let's move to the next slide. Yeah, thank you. Fatigue is generally defined as a feeling of lack of energy and motivation that can be physical, mental, or both. Sleeping can help reduce your feeling of fatigue. Most experts say adults need 6 to 8 hours of sleep per night to function at maximum abilities. Some nights, even if you get less sleep, the key is waking up enthusiastically. During my service with US Army, one of the key things I learned is if you are not motivated, then fake it. And when it comes to relaxation, one of my role models is Winston Churchill. Winston Churchill never left his bed until like 9 or 10 in the morning, even though he will wake up early, but most of the times he will just work from his bed, whatever he can accomplish from his bed. So 4 or 5 times a day, and ask yourself, am I making my work harder than actually it is? While working in your office, just ask this question, am I using muscles that have nothing to do with the work I am doing? For example, sitting on a chair, can we help our legs to relax a little bit extra as compared to standing? So making sure while working or while sleeping or while meditating, that really helps us to rejuvenate our physical energies. Now, let's move to the next slide. I will really appreciate if you can write in on your laptop or on a piece of paper, or if you feel comfortable, share in the chat box some of the activities which you engage in for strengthening the physical, emotional, social, spiritual, and creative aspects of the resiliency. So please take next 5 minutes to share those activities or to reflect on those activities. And if you're comfortable, you can share those in Q&A or in the chat box. Also, if you have any question, please write those in the Q&A section, and Mr. JR is going to facilitate the discussion where I could respond to your questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sachin. So at this point, we will give you, the participants, 5 minutes to reflect these questions posted on our screen. So as Dr. Sachin said, please write which activities do you engage in for, it's either in physical, emotional, social, spiritual, or in creativity. So we have a lot tackled this morning, and at this time, we'll give you your time to reflect on these questions. We will be back in a short while.
Okay, you have 1 more minute to reflect, and then we will take any questions and answers. So feel free to type your questions, and Mr. JR is going to facilitate the question and answer discussion.
Maybe the first session I can share some personal experience based on your talk. You know what? Now that we are in a global pandemic, um, on during the normal times, I used to go to massage parlors or massage stations just to relax. You know, just a monthly hobby for me. And I like what you shared this morning that we have the simplest activities that we can do just as simply walking or drinking water. It can alleviate these worries that we have, right?
Yes.
And I know at this point we will have some more questions from our participants joining us here live on our webinar. So with that, thank you very much, Dr. Sachin, for giving your valuable insights about the webinar theme, Symptoms and Solutions for Stress in Online Schools. And I'm sure our audience, our participants has learned a lot from that discussion. And definitely, they would want to take this rare opportunity to ask questions to our international speaker. So at this point, we shall now entertain your questions for Dr. Sachin. May I call once again Mr. Robert Tyron Narito as we open the program with the questions from our participants.
you, JR, for sharing your reflections on how pandemic is impacting particularly the services which we could have easily accessed initially, just like the massage parlors. So one of the ways what I have found helpful is hot water baths. So when we don't have access to massages or professionals who can provide massages, just taking a really hot water bath, soaking, could help us relieve that extra build-up stress in our muscles. Thank you.
Hello, Dr. Sachin. Good morning. So to our participants, we can start sending our questions now.
Okay, so I just see in the Q&A section, there is a question, what is the name of the free language app? The free language app is called Duolingo, so Duolingo. So if we just go on the App Store or the Play Store, you should be able to download, and it's a completely free app. Thank you, Sandra, for sharing your activities and also sharing that you are going to try the cold water showers. And again, like whenever we make any change in our lifestyle, the first week, that's where will be the toughest because our body is going to almost wage a war. Since our body is in the comfortable states in the current scenario, any change is going to take 1 week of learning for our body to respond. So for the first week, we really have to be very persistent.
Okay, so let's continue sending in the questions. Dr. Sachin, I have a question. Good morning. What do you think is the most relaxing
Good morning.
scent that you can use to relax?
Can you please repeat the question one more time?
Okay. What do you think is a scent that will most help us to relax?
So with the relaxation,
yes,
the key is just like how we work throughout the day, let's say 8-hour workday. So if we can break our workday using the Pomodoro technique, so after every 30 minutes, we are taking 1 minute to reflect on our body. Is our body is in the relaxed state? So apart from having the 50-minute meditation session in the morning and 50-minute meditation session in the evening, it will be really important that we reflect on our stress levels every half an hour during the day because that helps us to control the stress before it reaches to the state where it have detrimental effects on our well-being. The other aspect which research have found very helpful, particularly in improving our gut health, because if our gut is healthy, our body is also very relaxed, is yoga. Somehow, our gut bacteria really enjoy yoga. So practicing 30 minutes yoga could also be really relaxing. And I have found that because I use this heart beat monitor, whenever I do engage in some deep yoga, my heartbeat relaxes a lot, unlike a physical activity where when I'm engaging in workout, my heartbeat is increasing.
That's very good, Dr. Sachin, because a lot of people believe in very tiring exercises, and instead of them feeling even more relaxed, they tend to exhaust themselves even more. So that's a very good practice, Dr. Sachin. So okay, we have another question here. Like, how do we improve for the following day? Like, for example, they get exhausted today and then they prepare for tomorrow. How do they break that cycle?
Yes, and that's really important that by the end of the day, we are rejuvenated to the same energy levels as we started the day. Our Western societies have, so to say, spread this idea that if we are not exhausted by the evening, then we are not working hard enough. Versus for me, I always try to have the similar levels of energy by the evening to the equivalent to the day I started. Because I feel it is unfair for our family or for us to be completely drained every day due to our work setting. That is not sustainable. So, as the participant have asked the question, how can we make sure that we are rejuvenated for the next day? It's really important that we reflect on, just like how we are focused on achieving the important work targets, we also focus on our personal energy levels throughout the day. Again, using the Pomodoro technique, improving our concentration. So when we are working in 20-25 minute cycle, for example, if I'm grading the papers, so and I have 50 papers to grade, in the first 25 minutes, I graded, let's say, 5 papers. And I took a 5 minute break. I did a brief small exercise or walking up and down the stairs, drank some water. And then in the next 25 minutes, I was only able to grade one paper. So in the 5 minute break, I'm going to reflect what happened in those 2 cycles, in the one paper and that's where the attention residue happens. Where sometimes we all have gone through, like sometimes we all have gone through, like we are trying to read a book and we have spent a whole hour, but we barely moved from one page to other page, because even though we are trying to read, but our mind is completely at a different state. So sometimes meditation and yoga will help us to improve our concentration, help us to accomplish all the tasks in a timely way, that we are not psychologically drained by the evening, but we accomplish our tasks on a daily basis. That will help us to be ready for the next day, because the next day we are only going to focus on that day's work instead of catching up on the previous day's work. I hope that helps.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sachin. So another question: do you think social interactions can improve our well-being during these times? Constant social interaction.
Yes, yes, social interaction, not only during the times of pandemic, but even in social interactions. But we really have to be careful to whom we are engaging socially, because sometimes some individuals who try to stay in the pessimistic or a negative state of mind frame, and even though they could be our close relatives or close friends, and we could try to help them out, but if we stay in touch with them regularly, sometimes their pessimism try to rub on us instead of our optimism trying to influence them. So so I try to be very careful while engaging socially. So I try to, most of my social engagement, I limit to more optimistic, more positive individuals. And still, I don't, like maybe 20% with individuals who tend to stay in the negative states. Because sometimes I feel like these states are learned. So some individuals who try or who have been staying in the negative states, their body have internalized those states. And as I shared, magic only happens in the Disney movies. If we are not taking intentional actions to move from the negative states or to move from pessimism to optimism, it is not going to happen automatically. So we can encourage our fellow friends or our family members to move from the states, but it's completely their decision to move from negative states to positive states. So while engaging socially, make sure we are balancing our engagement pessimistic and negative fellow colleagues and friends.
That's beautiful, Dr. Sachin. We have another question regarding coping with mental health during online classes. How do faculty members and school employees and students will be able to cope with everything that's happening?
And that's a really unique situation to the current pandemic. We as human beings have never spent so much time online, particularly when we are instructors or students. Our social life is online and our work life is online. So it's again like going back to the drawing board. It's really important to work in 20-25 minutes or 25 to 30 minute cycle. That way we can take a 5-minute break from the technology so at least 2 breaks from the technology every hour. So what I encourage faculty members to do is, first thing, we have to be very, very savvy in saving our work, because in the online environment, we never know when internet can be gone or electricity fluctuation happens. And if we are not saving our work regularly, all our efforts for last 25 minutes can be gone in 1 second. So make sure we save our work regularly. That way we do not have to replicate our efforts again and again. Second thing, make sure we take regular breaks. The other thing which I found helpful is, even though sometimes students find it helpful to use Skype or use Zoom to interact with the faculty, sometimes just interacting student during our office hour, instead of facilitating it online, we can try to facilitate it on phone. That way we don't have to stare at the screen. Since we are staring at our screens so much, whatever we can accomplish using the phone, that gives our eyes a little bit looking at a screen. So just to summarize, make sure you save your work. Make sure you work in Pomodoro. So in 25-minute to 30-minute cycle, take a small 5 to 10-minute break after every 25 minutes to 30 minutes. And also, whenever you could work using telephone or cell phone, try to use just the voice instead of voice and video.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sachin. I'll be reading the next question. How can I avoid spending most of my time studying or working than anything else?
That's really important, because as I shared, if we are only working, and never giving us a time to recover, that will lead to burnout. So while we are working, even as a student, if we are trying to accomplish some assignments, make sure you put a timer. So let's say you start working at 10 o'clock, just use your phone, put a timer for 25 minutes, concentration. So you can even play a music if light music helps you to be more efficient. But for 25 minutes, make sure your mind is not moving around. So your mind, we are fully focused on the task in hand. And as soon as your timer is off, after work, save the work, and then take a break from the computer for next 5 to 10 minutes. Drink some water, maybe take a deep breath, reflect on what you accomplish. So let's say if you're working to accomplish a 25-page paper and you have, let's say, 3 weeks to accomplish. So make sure you are able to meet your short that paper. So what exactly had the intention that, okay, I'm going to write 3 paragraphs of this paper. Were you able to accomplish those 3 paragraphs? And if not, what could you do? Either revise your target. So when you start your next 25 minutes, maybe you go with 2 paragraphs. That, okay, in this 25 minutes, I'm going to focus and try to accomplish the next 2 paragraphs. So always try to revise your goals and set up the intentions before starting to work on any project. And as soon as your timer is off, take a 5 minute break, drink some water, run up and down the stairs. I know during the pandemic we cannot go outside the buildings, but I'm so happy that Manila have really tall skyscrapers. So going up and down those 20 flights of stairs will give us a good workout and help us to again refocus on our work when we start our next Pomodoro cycle. Please do not work non-stop. So do not work 3 to 4 hours without taking a break. That is not going to help us. That is not going to sustain. That is going to lead us to burnout. And that will make our evenings way more painful than joyful. So while you are working, make sure you take frequent breaks after 20-25 minutes. Try to stay away from technology when you don't have to stare at the technology. Hydrate, drink a lot of water, and engage relaxation after every 25 minutes. So try to ask yourself, are you using the muscle? So for example, why your legs should be stressed, why your legs should be fatigued. So if that is happening, try just use, and that's where when you will start using the technique of body scan, you will be able to relieve and relax the different muscles by suggesting the muscles to relax. Well, thank you.
Yes, that's very true. Thank you very much, Dr. Sanchez. So it's related to another question here that asks about pulling off an all-nighter as a student. The dangers of not sleeping for an adequate amount of time. Like, what is the most comfortable time frame for us to sleep?
Yes, and I think our students have the luxury of the young age. So, so for example, I remember even as an undergraduate student or a high school student, I have worked some nights. But now in my 40s, I am not at all adventurous to work the whole night. So, so if a student for some reason have to work a whole night because of upcoming deadline, their bodies will be able to recover way quicker than as compared to a middle-aged and middle-aged adult. But again, I will encourage either as a student or as a faculty to avoid what when we are sleeping during the day, either like right now I'm in India, or I remember while I was in Manila, during the day there are a lot of white noises. So there is always honking going on, there is always the noise of traffic which is going on. Versus in the night, those white noises are low. So while we are sleeping, our body and mind can get full rest as compared to trying to catch up on the sleep during the day. Even though we can physically rest, we can still go to the sleep, but our mind will not able to relax due to those white noises. So yes, in case of urgencies, it's completely fine as a student to spend the whole night if it is like one night in like 3 months. But if it is 5 nights in a week, we are going to be facing the symptoms of fatigue. if we are and the whole that since our bodies are not able to relax to the same level during the day compared to sleeping during. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sachin, and thank you very much to all our participants for sending your questions to us. So due to time constraints, we will not be able to answer some of the questions right now, but we'll be answering some. So I will be handing over the microphone to Sir Jay.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sachin and Sir Tyron, for facilitating our open forum on this webinar series. And we are very glad to share the screen with you, Dr. Sachin. So I know we had a very fruitful discussion and very informative, especially at this time of digital learning. And we are pleased to have you this morning, Dr. Sachin. And it is my honor, as I said, to share this digital screen with you. So now, as a sign of our gratitude, let me virtually present to you our certificate of appreciation as it reads. This certificate of appreciation is given to Dr. Sachin Jain, PhD, NCC, for sharing his knowledge and expertise on symptoms and solutions for stress in online schools. During the 2020 Let's Talk, LPU educates through series of talks, webinar series, held virtually via Zoom, given this 27th day of November 2020. Signed, Director Caroline Kiba of Guidance and Testing Center, Director Sandra Recto from the Communication and Public Affairs, and Officer in Charge for Academic Affairs, Ms. Jennifer Tukpi. Once again, thank you very much for your gracing our webinar series, Dr. Sachin Jain.
Thank you so much, JR. This is such an honor to be able to present again at LPU. I really enjoyed my first visit at LPU. And I remember, I'm so honored. Like I remember when Dr. Miss Carol gave me some LPU jackets and university swag. And whenever I'm on cruises, that's my favorite activity. I wear LPU because I get to make so many friends. I always meet LPU graduates whenever I travel at any part of the world. So I'm so honored to be able to receive this invitation and get to interact with LPU students and colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sachin.
Thank you, Dr. Sachin,
Thank you, Ms. Carol.
For always holding and sharing the LPU brand in the world. So we hope to see you again and of course be back here in the Philippines. Dr. Sachin, we are very glad to welcome you once again here.
Thank you. Thank you, JR.
And now going back to the program, to our participants, kindly check on your screen and on the comments section for the link of the evaluation. Issuance of certificate of participation will be based on your accomplished evaluation form. Kindly indicate correct full name, email address, and check your details to avoid erroneous entries. We will give you a few seconds to copy the link and please expect your e-certificate of participation to be sent through your email addresses within next week. So here's our link posted on your screen, https://bit.ly/LPU2020GCS. And we are also putting that same link on your comment on the comment section. Please click the evaluation link and kindly monitor the certificate by next week through your email addresses. And once again, we are deeply grateful to everyone involved in this activity, all the LP administrators and personnel, our international speaker, Dr. Sachin Jain, and of course, to you, all of our dear participants. Maraming salamat po. Thank you very much. And let's keep the conversation going. Let's talk and see you on our next webinar series. This is LPU Educates Through Series of Talks webinar series. Thank you for keeping us company. I am JR, your host. Always remember, choose to take the lead. Choose LPU.